Okay, let's take a look at my ridiculous contraption, and let's start with the good stuff. And watch my computer die. Those things are going almost too fast to see. So, as you can see, the chests, conduits, and miners, or mining wells, all stay in the same place. One set of energy tesseracts with the input conduit is staying still at a time, and on the end, breakers are putting everything into a color-coded chest, which gets put right back in the other side. And you can take a look at the inventory as it goes completely insane. Okay, let's take a look at the bottom. And yeah, this is hard on the computer, so lots of rendering errors as it just doesn't bother to update chunks. Just too much to draw for it. Oops. It's raining crystals on my head that were not attached to the correct walls. Chunk. Okay. Let's see if I can turn this thing off. Hey. Sorry about the keyboard noise. Trying to get... Oh, come on. Yay! And we are parting the ocean. Okay, let's see if I can get my computer to respond again by turning this off. Yeah, the contraption's a little ugly because I figured I did part of the redstone wrong and it got stuck eventually. I want to make sure that the breakers break when the frame extends, so I had to add this part. Now let's go see how I'm sorting all that stuff. So here's the power. A little bit more than necessary, but it won't run at night. So ultimate hybrid solars, energy conversion. These flicker a lot since the energy tesseracts are going in and out, but usually it's putting out over about 300 MJ, which won't be constant because there's that internal buffer. The 512 is not quite enough to make 300, but since it's very flaky, it works. Okay, let's see what I've done so far in that strip. I filled up half a disc. Probably went overboard with that many. 100,000 cobble. That was pretty quick. I thought I had more diamonds in here earlier. Okay, well, let's take a look at this. This is excessive. Did not need to be anywhere near this long. The back row doesn't even do anything at all. All the items are flowing through the bottom here. And I can come back later and show that. That is not, yeah, not necessary at all. I wasn't sure how much would be necessary, and I already turned it into an item fountain several times. The AE system is not fast enough to pull out the chests. Even if you had more chests, the system itself limits the rate of extraction with the importers, and even adding more importers does not actually speed it up at all. This works quite well. Yay, red power. Ultimate hybrid for excessive reasons. Doesn't need it. Okay. Don't think there was anything else there. And let's take another look at this guy. So the power's on, so when it moves, it's just gonna completely finish mining that chunk. The mossy covers slip. It's probably not a big deal, but doesn't hurt. Things get broken at this end, so it can't move forward until this line of wells is gone, which was the problem I had with that. So, I know some people were asking about frame tutorials. So, a lot of times people will have their contraptions have one motor move another. These frame motors can move any block. But here I wanted them separate so that I could have the energy system separated. So we have this motor moves this part of the frame forward, and then when this part of the frame moves forward, this timer then can connect to this redstone, which also turns this motor on and hits all these frames tubes. None of the tube frames, oops, don't mind me, are actually transferring items. That would be kind of slow. And so they're just providing the redstone signal and the frame continuity. I wasn't quite sure if this was going to be enough power, but it seems to work just fine. I could actually reduce the number of rows here probably by 2 or 3, because when I was watching it before, it looked like the last 3 rows were all touching ground at the same time, so you could cut it off early if you wanted to use, slightly less ludicrous amounts of iron to build this thing. That's there are currently 128 mining wells deployed. 2 chunk loaders. The chunk starts right here, and this is a separate chunk. So I just have the chunk loaders loading 3 chunk area. There's an extra chunk over there. It's not a big deal. If you really wanted to, you could reduce the amount of chunks being created, but single player, yeah. Okay, so let's turn it back on. So, in theory, these work on frames without having to provide 2 of them, but probably safer to have 2 just for the extra insurance. Because as you can see, one of them is disappearing every time it moves. So we're also above the cloud layer, just so no mountains will get in our way. A particularly tall tree might block it eventually, but it manages to reach all the way to the bottom, so no worries. And we can go watch the items sort. It's not a terribly photogenic machine. What with the failure to update all the graphics. Oh, hey, these back ones are getting used now. Let's look at the front. If you really want to find out just how many of these are necessary, you can start popping the chests off until they start overflowing. Only 19 types so far. And there was a question, see, the princesses are stacking, even though they probably have different attributes. I'm not sure if those attributes are generated later. Ooh.